But we are joined now by Senator Tom Cotton. And Senator, welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning?
Good, Toby. It's good to be on with you.
You bet. Now, I'm interested in what you think of Pelosi and the House passing the $3 trillion stimulus package that will most likely die in the Senate. What do you think of what they put together for the American people there?
Toby, it's already dead, and I can tell you. It was a short and ill-fated life for that far-left wish list. Look, Nancy Pelosi knew from the beginning that that bill had no chance to either pass the Senate or be signed by Donald Trump. She gives a no-strings-attached bailout to some of the most mismanaged cities and states for expenses that are unrelated to the coronavirus. That bill uses the word cannabis more than it uses the word jobs, giving set-asides for marijuana dealers. It has all kinds of other extraneous measures unrelated to this crisis or permanent regulatory measures that aren't designed to give temporary relief where we need it most, our workers, our families, and our businesses. Now, that's not to say that we may not have to pass more legislation in the weeks or the months ahead, Toby, to help our families and help our businesses that are still struggling. But the bill that we passed in March is still being implemented. There are still hundreds of billions of dollars that have not, although approved by Congress, that have not gone out the door. It is possible that as the economy gets back on its feet, that money may not have to be spent. And in the end, I know Arkansans want a paycheck. They don't want a relief check. So we'll continue to monitor what's happening at home and what's happening across the country. But our ambition is that hopefully the peak is behind us and our families and our businesses can begin to get back to something like normal, and a $3 trillion package will be needless.
Now, another topic, Senator, that you've been on, along with President Trump, who called out the WHO over the weekend. I saw you were on them in a tweet yesterday as well. How should the U.S. approach the World Health Organization moving forward? Is it a situation where we should cut ties with them, or do you keep working to try to figure out a partnership?
We should approach the World Health Organization warily. The President sent a letter yesterday to the World Health Organization outlining their long series of misjudgments, of negligence, of spinning politically correct tales for the Chinese Communist Party, going all the way back to early December. Remember, China knew about this virus and how contagious it was probably no later than mid-December.
Right.
Yet they concealed it, and with the help of the WHO, it was concealed from the world. Taiwan, which is less than 100 miles from mainland China, and has millions and millions of its own citizens and citizens of China moving back and forth between the island, knew very early on that this was transmissible from humans to humans. They tried to spread the word through the WHO. The WHO refused to even entertain and to share that information because the Chinese Communist Party wants to exclude Taiwan from any international organization. So the president was right to temporarily halt funding to the WHO last month as we reviewed their actions. Now that review is complete, we know the kind of reforms that are needed. And he's right to say that if they don't implement those reforms in short order, we will consider a permanent halt to funding and perhaps even withdrawing from the World Health Organization. If we do so, we'll want to try to create a new organization, giving invitations to the rest of the civilized world, an organization that will be focused on world health, not world politics.
Sure. No, I mean, that's the direction it needs to go, as we're talking with Senator Tom Cotton this morning. Senator, you've also been a big voice, so you even touched on it in the last answer, about making China accountable for their actions in the pandemic. And I did say they donated a couple billion to the World COVID Relief, but is there any movement on getting China to pay up or take responsibility for the pandemic?
Well, let's not say they donated $2 billion. That's a classic example of Chinese dollar diplomacy,
Sure.
or what is really nothing but bribes, saying that, after never paying more than I think, tens of millions of dollars, they're all of a sudden going to give $2 billion. That's designed to buy compliance and obsequiousness from nations around the world. I have a lot of proposals that will hold China accountable. Some are specifically related to this pandemic, like allowing Americans harmed by the virus to sue Chinese officials responsible in American courts to be made whole, or bringing back pharmaceutical manufacturing from China so we're no longer reliant on China for basic pharmaceuticals. Others are steps that are long overdue, But now I believe there is the support for them among the American people who rightly view China as a pariah state. Things like excluding Chinese nationals from the most cutting-edge, high-end scientific and technological graduate programs and laboratories where they can steal our technology and take our knowledge back to the mainland, or building up our military forces in the Western Pacific, especially our missile forces, to counteract the thousands of missiles that they have aimed at us. Change in our relationship with China.
And Senator, finally, before I let you go, how are you feeling about Arkansas's reopening of businesses? Is it going at the right pace so far from what you've seen?
Yeah, Toby, from everything I can see, both from the evidence we get every day on new cases, hospitalizations, and recoveries, to what I hear anecdotally all around the state, it seems to be going well at this point. As the governor has said, we want to get people back to work and back to the normal routine, but we're also watching very carefully to make sure there aren't any surges in the virus and hotspots and trying to jump on those if possible. So I think we're taking the right steps. We're exercising the right precautions. In the end, a lot of what it will take to get through this virus until we have an effective therapeutic drug and hopefully an effective vaccine is simple personal responsibility. Right. And obviously Arkansans are responsible for themselves and their loved ones, and in their workplace they're going to be doing the right things in terms of washing their hands or keeping their distance. So I'm pretty confident about the days and the weeks ahead in Arkansas, and that's especially true as you look at some of the states that were a little bit earlier in getting back opened up, or some other countries, like countries in Europe that got hit with the virus several weeks ahead of us and therefore several weeks ahead of it. They've been able to take similar steps that we've taken without having seen a big surge in new cases.
Well, Senator, we sure appreciate your time today and look forward to hearing from you again. I hope we can do it down the road.
Great. Thanks very much.
All right, there he goes, Senator Tom Cotton. We appreciate